I want you to imagine a prehistoric savanna, how it looks, sounds and smells just after sunset. Project the savanna from your imagination onto this stage. This is a campfire, and around the fire a group of people, our ancestors, is chatting. Because we're in Finland, there are probably many in the audience who can make a better fire than I can. Anyway, there it is. And here sits a man telling something about his day. I sit here like this. And a third man is crouched, covering his ears like this. I want you to remember this situation because we will come back to it in a little while. Let's fast forward at least 10,000 years all the way to the 1990s. Now we are in the year 1996, and I am a young film sound student in the University of Art and Design, Helsinki. I come from a small city in central Finland, Jyväskylä, which was way smaller in the 90s. And what I noticed upon arriving to film school in Helsinki was that at least half of the sound students came from small towns just like me. It made me wonder why. I formed an assumption that individuals from remote, quiet environments might have better conditions for creating auditory expression, because they are more likely to have personal experiences with natural sounds and small details like crackling of a campfire, or gentle wind in the grass, or birds singing at the sunset. This is almost a privilege in today's world, where we are accustomed to busy cities where noise pollution covers almost all the auditory details I mentioned. My guess is that it's easier to imagine sounds for films if you have first-hand experience with them. If you know or remember what the campfire sounds like in the evening breeze, it's easier to find suitable sound effects and create right atmosphere for a scene with them. A research into soundscapes, music and memories carried out at the universities of Great Britain, Austria, Sweden in 2023 shows that natural sounds and music can influence emotional responses, which in turn can impact memory formation. For example, adding natural sounds to a virtual environment can enhance feelings of restorative potential, calmness, and excitement. That research seems to support my idea that creativity flourishes in natural sound environments. To continue forming my theory about sensitivity or desensitization to sounds, I refined the idea of a person actively observing their environment. It's likely that our life events are imprinted in our memories more deeply if we are aware of the sounds around those moments. I give you an example from my personal life how sounds seem to put sort of tags to our memories. My grandmother's funeral, which took place on a beautiful summer day, left a lasting impression on me. I still remember from decades ago, sitting in the church, waiting for the Mass to begin, hearing the swallows chirping outside the open doors as they circle around the building, and how the tolling of the church bells mixed with them. A conflicting mixture formed in me. During my childhood spent in my grandmother's house, in summer, I had associated the sound of swallows with the wonderful carefree time in the countryside when there was no need to worry about school or anything else. On the other hand, church bells had always brought feelings of sorrow or longing, perhaps because they reminded me of loss. At my grandmother's funeral, these two elements combined in a surprising way and tattooed an unforgettable memory into my mind. I ask you to stop focusing on my speech for a while and consider your own past. Have you had any moments in your life that evoke memories through sounds? They can be anything. Sound of breaking glass when you dropped a bowl on the floor when you were a child. Sound of paper when your sibling was reading a book next to you in bed. Sounds are like any other sensations. The smell of fresh grass after rain, touch of your colleague's hand on your shoulder after a stressful day. Those kind of sensory cues bring whole events into your mind, especially if you are exposed to same sounds and smells in the present moment. Finnish documentary director Virpi Suutari emphasizes the personal connection between sound design and emotions in film. Discussing her latest work, Havumetsän lapset, she highlighted how specific sounds like crunch of snow or creaking trees evoke vivid childhood memories for her. This resonates deeply with my own perception of film sound, how it can act as a powerful trigger for embodied memories. To continue, a sound designer's job isn't just about picking cool noises, it's about understanding how sounds trigger memories and emotions. Random choices might miss the mark and confuse the audience. Here's the key. Sounds connect to our personal sonic history, evoking emotions and making things more memorable. So the crunch of footsteps in a snow in a film might not be just a sound effect, it could be a wave of childhood memories for someone in the audience, instantly transporting them and deepening their connection to the story. I think composer John Cage articulates about our relationship with the world and its noises succinctly in his essay, The Future of Music, Credo. He says, wherever we are, what we hear is mostly noise. When we ignore it, it disturbs us. When we listen to it, we find it fascinating. So, what happens if we stop listening to our natural environment and start listening more to artificially produced sounds through headphones?
You're listening to 103.7 The Hawk.
It's tempting to close ourselves off in our bubble because that way we can define our auditory environment according to our preferences. We don't need to listen to the noise of traffic or awkward conversations of people sitting next to us. We can consume music, podcasts, video sounds, and much more instead. Of course, we may put ourselves at risk if we don't hear, for example, an approaching vehicle, or we may miss hearing possibly calming natural sounds all around us when running through a picturesque landscape. If my claim about the role of environmental sounds in constructing memories is correct, we may not develop profound memories of situations. For example, sounds of laughter at a party or waves crashing on the beach. If we block them out with headphones, we miss out details enriching our experiences. Our brains hold onto these sounds for a short time, like an echo, to help us understand our surroundings. This temporary storage, called echoic memory, contributes to how we process the world and form stronger memories. So by being open to the sounds, not just what we choose to listen to through headphones, we might create more vivid and long-lasting memories. Tuning into sounds and actively interpreting them is crucial. Otherwise, making sense of these sounds later might be challenging. For example, as research from 1977 by James Greg Bartlett of the University of Texas suggests, putting sounds into words, basically describing them, strengthens our ability to retain them. Constant headphone use weakens our ability to understand the world around us. Describing surrounding sounds strengthens memory, and by blocking them out, we miss chances to learn their meanings. This can make everyday sounds like traffic signals or birds chirping confusing in the future, similar to how someone who never practices a language would struggle to understand it. I argue that listening is a skill that develops when practiced. The more we contemplate and analyze what we hear, the better interpreters we become. My concern is whether we will find audio professionals for the film industry in the future if people prefer spending most of their time in a non-real world, only listening to artificially generated sounds. Where can we find individuals interested in listening to the real world as it is? Let's go back to the situation I introduced to you a moment ago, where a man, the storyteller, sits by the campfire telling about the day's events. Others listen attentively, except for one man who seems absent and is covering his ears. Suddenly, people around him react strangely and abruptly to something, starting to run around and hide. He wonders why this sudden urgency. He sees his fellows shouting to him, but still can't hear them until he takes his hands off his ears. Others ask him what he's doing. The man says he's listening to a podcast by Johnny from the Nose Mountain. They urge him to stop it and hide. But the man still doesn't get their point until he hears this. The next step on the journey into the virtual world will likely involve adding visual content to our field of view. So we'll move hands from here to here and start navigating in our world like this.